Multiple rounds of severe weather with tornadoes. All hazards are possible over the weekend and into next week. In today's forecast, we're going to discuss the next 2 days of severe weather and impacts next. So let's review today's severe threat and tomorrow's. We have a slight risk of severe weather in parts of Texas here and New Mexico, with a larger marginal risk all the way up into Wyoming, encompassing all of Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin, with a larger general thunderstorm risk all the way into Tennessee and North Carolina, with a small marginal risk here right along the west coast of the United States. And today the tornado risk really isn't that high, but we still do have a chance of tornadoes here in parts of Texas towards Odessa, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Altus, Oklahoma, near Grand Island, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, parts of Kansas, northwestern Kansas, northwestern Missouri, and parts of southwestern Iowa here. As far as the wind risk, we have this is where our highest threat is here for wind, up to 50-knot winds in this yellow shaded area. 15% chance of those winds exceeding 50 knots within 25 miles of a point, or reaching 50 knots, which is about 60 some miles an hour. And a larger marginal risk going the way up towards Wyoming, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, generally through central Oklahoma, down just to the east of Abilene, east of Del Rio here towards San Antonio, parts of New Mexico as well. The severe weather hail risk also encompasses the same area, with a 15% chance of 1-inch hail within 25 miles of a point in the slight risk area here. And a larger marginal risk all the way up to Wisconsin, generally through central New Mexico, eastern Colorado, parts of Nebraska here towards Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, and generally in the same area where we have that wind risk today down into Texas. For tomorrow, we have a large risk of severe weather going all the way up to Wisconsin here. So generally along a line east of Odessa, Lubbock, Texas, Liberal, Oklahoma, all the way up towards Minneapolis and back towards Shreveport, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, down towards Corpus Christi, and Reynosa, Texas here, Corpus Christi, Texas. So, and going through Iowa and Missouri as well, with a larger slight risk in parts of central Texas, south central Texas, central Oklahoma, towards Norman again, into Wichita, Kansas, all the way close up to the border with a slight risk here. And tomorrow again, the tornado risk isn't that high. We have this marginal risk of tornadoes, no hatching here, at least right now. So what that means is the expectation is less than an EF2, maybe EF0, EF1 tornado. No strong tornadoes expected, but a large area here. Doesn't mean you won't get an EF2, but the likelihood is very small. And this spatial coverage of the tornadoes is not supposed to be large either, given the marginal risk here. So generally from let's see, Grand Island, Nebraska, down just to the west of Altus, down towards Del Rio, Texas, Corpus Christi, generally to the west of Houston and through Shreveport, all right, up towards Fayetteville, Arkansas, Emporia, Kansas, and a small area up here in just a small portion of eastern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. By far, this is the biggest risk tomorrow, right? Not by far, but 2-inch hail is possible in this hatched area tomorrow. Generally on the western edge of this slight and marginal risk area, likely where a dry line will be forming and steep lapse rates aloft. So what does that mean? In the marginal risk area, you have a 2% chance of getting I think it's 2% with this, 5%, excuse me, hail risk, okay? It's 2% for tornadoes, 5% hail risk here, and 15% in the yellow area. And where the hatching is, you have up the possibility of up to 2-inch hail and storms that are discrete and can really get going here along this line. 1-inch hail is possible anywhere else here. but the spatial coverage to the east is forecast to be less, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. And the wind risk pretty much encompasses the same area as the hail risk, with the exception of it not being expected to be above 50 knots or so, which is about 60 miles per hour. So no hatching here, although the spatial coverage is forecast to be greater in the slight risk area. So what's going on here, guys? We got the dew points starting today. Not getting that high here in the threat area for severe weather, but into tomorrow, you see the 60-degree dew points move way to the north here, right? And this is where I think we're going to have a better chance for severe weather tomorrow. The dew points seem to be relatively marginal here and of a severe threat today, although with steep lapse rates up to mid-levels, that's probably why we have a slight risk of hail in this area as well as winds. So as far as temperatures go, this gives us a good idea with the temperatures, with the surface features depicted as well here, as well as severe threat for the different days. We get into today, we see the severe threat here with temperatures warming up all the way up into parts of the northern part of the US here, and into tomorrow. You see here, if I stop this and go back, where the warmest temps will be, and a lot of instability here, possibly reaching 80 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. And if you look at the CAPE values associated with this, for today, the surface-based CAPE is maximized here in the southern part of the slight risk area in parts of New Mexico and Kansas here. That's just to the north. And overnight, of course, we lose some of that instability into tomorrow. You see the surface-based CAPE values are a lot higher tomorrow. So I have the shear overlaid on there, but you see the CAPE max, mean, and min. So the mean here is reaching potentially 2,000 to 2,500 joules per kilogram, depending on which model. This is the ensemble mean, all right? So we look at the shear values. Let's look at the contours here. Quite a bit of shear, deep layer shear in the atmosphere as well. This is surface to 500 millibar shear. And then you have the shear is maximized down here in South Texas to start with overnight, and parts of the Central Plains. You see where the updraft velocities are, the little dots on the map there. All right, and you move through into Sunday. You see down in southern Texas again, it's really maximized here. Now, if we look at reflectivity, let's look at that. Everybody wants to see that. I'll take this SPC outlook off. So starting today, we have convection ongoing this morning in northern Texas, moves to the north through Oklahoma, and we got some heavy rain, which looks like to be sub-severe here. Don't see any really helicity swaths there. Different models, comparing them here. All relatively good agreement at this point. Convection firing once again, especially in southern Texas here. I get the feeling we're going to have just a lot of convection firing in the overnight hours. But any storms you can have discrete cells to start with, we get some hail and high winds with those. And you can see in the central US, we have some ongoing convection as well, but we don't really see a lot going on till the afternoon, really. Things really start to fire up. Shortwave trough moves to the east. We get into Sunday morning. You see a line of storms develops here, pushes through the area. And if it clears out soon enough, we may have redevelopment of the storms to the south here. And the area is just to the north as well, with some overlapping rain and thunderstorms here. Convection, firing in northern Texas today, and it starts firing again all the way back into California and Intermountain West here and southern Texas. Line of storms develops in the morning hours as it moves through the deep south and the parts of the central U.S., and maybe some redevelopment to the southern end of that line as we get in the overnight hours on Sunday night. I hope you all stay safe out there with today's severe weather threat and tomorrow with a heavy rainfall as well. And this severe threat will continue as well as heavy rainfall. And I'll do my best to keep y'all informed. And if I get time, I'm going to put together another forecast package for the extended period. I hope y'all have a great day.